For as long as humanity has gazed upward, we have asked the same question. Are we alone? The stars above have offered no reply, and the silence has grown louder with every scientific advancement. We now know there are billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, and countless planets capable of supporting life. Mathematically, the universe should be filled with civilizations, and yet, nothing. This puzzle has a name: the Fermi Paradox. It is the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the deafening absence of evidence. Some suggest other civilizations are too far or too different to recognize us. Others propose that they may have destroyed themselves, or that they simply do not care to reach out. But buried beneath all these possibilities is a more haunting question, one that turns the telescope inward. What if the reason we have not heard from anyone else is because we are not the ones being sought? What if we are not the observers, but the forgotten? What if humanity is not the beginning of intelligent life, but the remnant of it? What if we are not waiting for contact, because we were never meant to be contacted? What if the silence we encounter is not coming from the stars, but from inside our own memory? This idea is not just science fiction. It is a philosophical inversion of our assumptions. We like to think of ourselves as young, naive, and just starting out. We imagine that the true civilizations, the ancient, wise, spacefaring empires, are somewhere out there, yet to notice us. But what if we have it backwards? What if we are the ancient ones, not in our current form, but in some earlier version of ourselves? A version that reached farther than we dare to imagine, and then forgot. We have evidence, scattered and dismissed, that suggests humanity may not be as new as we believe. Civilizations buried beneath ice and jungle, maps that show impossible accuracy, monuments aligned with constellations that no longer match the sky, myths shared across continents that never touched, and always those strange echoes, spirals, serpents, eyes, stars, repeating through time as if trying to remind us of something we once knew. Most people see these as coincidences. They say ancient people were just imaginative, or that we read too much into symbols. But what if those symbols are not primitive at all? What if they are fragments of memory, not written by people trying to understand the stars, but by people who once left them behind? What if we are not a species waiting for first contact, but a species suffering civilizational amnesia? The silence in the universe may not be a mystery of distance or technology. It may be a reflection of something we chose to forget, or were made to forget. Perhaps we destroyed our world once, long ago, and fled. Perhaps we split ourselves across time, across planets, across consciousness itself. Perhaps what we now call dreams, myths, and déjà vu are not fiction, but residue. And if that is true, then we are not reaching outward for the future. We are reaching inward for the past. This changes everything. The search for extraterrestrial life becomes the search for ourselves. The alien becomes ancestral. The silence becomes sacred. Because suddenly, we are not just asking what is out there, we are asking what we left behind, and why. If you have ever looked at the stars and felt a strange sense of homesickness, this story is for you. If you have ever wondered why some places feel familiar, though you have never been, this story is for you. If you have ever felt like you were born too late for something you cannot name, this story is for you. Because maybe, just maybe, we are not waiting to meet them. We are waiting to remember us. The idea that we are the first intelligent civilization is comforting. It gives us the illusion of progress, of linear time, of being on the cutting edge of a grand cosmic story. But history does not always move forward. Sometimes it falls, sometimes it forgets, and sometimes it buries its beginnings so deeply that even memory becomes myth. Throughout every continent, there are whispers of an age that came before. Myths speak of a golden era, not metaphorically rich, but technologically advanced. civilizations that harnessed energies we no longer understand. Peoples who communicated through light, sound, or thought. Lost continents like Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu are dismissed by academics. Yet the similarities across independent cultures remain eerie. Why do flood myths appear in every corner of the earth? Why do stories of beings from the sky populate both tribal chants and ancient scriptures? If these were mere metaphors, why are the patterns so precise? Why do we find depictions of machines, of winged vehicles, of flying cities and cosmic wars carved into temples long before airplanes were even imagined? Are we really just imaginative? Or are we remembering something we once lived? Civilizational amnesia is the theory that advanced societies may have existed before recorded history, only to be destroyed by cataclysm, war, environmental collapse, or cosmic disaster. The survivors would not have preserved their knowledge in books or servers. They would have told stories, and over generations, those stories would become legends, then religion, then mythology, until finally they would be forgotten entirely, except in fragments. But forgetting does not mean erasure. Memory has strange anchors. It hides in rituals, in dreams, in recurring symbols that echo across time. The spiral that appears on prehistoric cave walls also appears in our galaxies, in our fingerprints, in the ancient coils of serpent gods. The pine cone, sacred in so many traditions, mirrors the pineal gland, the seat of awareness. Why would early humans associate these with awakening, with gods, with the stars? There is something beneath the surface of history, a buried architecture of knowledge. The great pyramids of Egypt are aligned with the stars in a way modern tools would struggle to replicate. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey predates writing, agriculture, and yet shows signs of astronomical knowledge and spiritual sophistication. The Antikythera mechanism, pulled from the sea, is a machine so precise it should not exist in the era from which it came. All of these suggest the same unsettling truth. We are not climbing toward greatness. We may be walking in the footprints of those who already stood tall. If we accept this, even hypothetically, it changes how we see the stars. We no longer look at the sky as a boundary to cross, but as a memory to recover. Space travel may not be our destiny, it may be our inheritance. Perhaps the reason space feels like the final frontier is because it was once our first. This also reframes the question of extraterrestrial life. We keep looking for beings who will arrive in ships, bring us knowledge, or show us a better way. But what if we were the ones who left? What if the others are looking for us too? But we no longer recognize ourselves. Imagine if a civilization became so advanced, it left Earth, colonized distant worlds, and in doing so, fractured. Imagine that some of those travelers forgot who they were, lost their history, or devolved over time. Imagine that we are the descendants of one such fragment. A branch of humanity that survived collapse, returned to Earth, and began again without memory of where we came from. This is not just science fiction. It is an anthropological hypothesis, a philosophical inversion, and a mythological echo. The idea that we are not evolving upward, but recovering downward. That progress is not invention, but remembrance. And perhaps that is why we cannot find them. Because they are not there. Or rather, because they are us. There are places on this earth that seem too deliberate to be accidents. Megalithic structures so vast, so precise, that they defy our understanding of ancient capability. Monuments aligned to the solstices, temples that mimic the stars, cities designed with a geometric awareness so advanced it challenges the very idea of primitive humanity. And among all of these, one truth begins to emerge. The map came first. In every age, from the jungles of Mesoamerica to the plateaus of Giza, we find a recurring pattern. civilizations that appeared suddenly without gradual build-up. Complex languages, astronomical knowledge, mathematics, and sacred architecture, all emerging as if remembered, not discovered. It is as though someone had passed them a blueprint. But blueprints are not drawn by accident. They come from knowing, and knowing must come from somewhere. This gives rise to a possibility few are willing to explore. What if the earliest temples, cities, and rituals were not invented here, but reconstructed? What if those who built them were not trying to reach upward toward the divine, but recreate something they had once known, somewhere else? Consider the Orion correlation theory, which posits that the 3 pyramids of Giza are aligned with the belt of Orion. Critics call it pseudoscience, yet the alignment is real. The precision undeniable. Why would desert-bound builders choose stars as their guide, unless those stars had once mattered deeply, not in imagination, but in memory? Across the globe, similar patterns emerge. Ancient Chinese pyramids also point toward Orion. The Mayans encoded star maps into their stonework. Aboriginal Australians speak of sky beings who brought knowledge long before modern tools could read the stars. We treat these stories as myth, but myth is not the opposite of truth. Myth is the language memory takes when history fails. In many ancient texts, the universe is not something to explore, it is something to return to. The concept of the cosmos is embedded in the idea of homecoming. The stars are not distant objects, they are directions, vectors, coordinates. This suggests that early humans were not mapping the heavens out of curiosity. They were mapping them because they had come from them. There is a sacred geometry at the heart of these structures. Ratios like phi and pi appear not just in nature, but in the layout of temples, pyramids, and monuments worldwide. These numbers are not simply beautiful, they are functional. They encode stability, energy, and resonance. To modern scientists, this might signal natural order, but to an ancient traveler, it could be something more. A signal, a frequency, a key. Perhaps the ancients were not just builders. Perhaps they were remembering how to rebuild, not just to survive, but to reconnect. What if the great stone monuments we now admire were never meant to be tombs or tributes? What if they were receivers, portals, anchors? What if these places were constructed not to glorify gods, but to find their way back to the stars? This may sound like fiction, but remember, every GPS, every satellite, every signal we send into space now begins with a map. And before we can map the stars, we must map ourselves. The ancients seemed to understand this. They did not separate the Earth from the cosmos. They saw mirrors between micro and macro, between body and universe. Temples were built as reflections of constellations. Rituals followed lunar cycles. Architecture responded to solar angles. To them, space was not somewhere else. It was now. It was here. And that sense of connection feels less like theory and more like memory. If we truly are the descendants of a lost star-faring race, then these patterns are not accidental. They are echoes. These monuments, myths, and alignments are not the marks of primitive awe. They are the remnants of orientation. A species trying to remember how to point home. Perhaps that is why some knowledge feels so ancient, yet so familiar. Why the spiral draws us. Why the stars pull us. Why certain numbers repeat like a cosmic signature. We are not inventing meaning. We are decoding fragments. We are not dreaming of other worlds. We are trying to return to one we lost. And so the idea grows stronger. We are not explorers mapping the universe for the first time. We are the survivors of a great forgetting. A people who once knew the way and are now trying to redraw the map before the memory fades for good. When people speak of contact, they imagine something cinematic. Lights in the sky, messages in strange tongues, craft descending from the stars. We imagine an arrival, something foreign entering our world. But what if we are not waiting for them to arrive? What if we are waiting to remember? What if the phenomena we describe as alien contact, abductions, visions, sightings, missing time, are not encounters with the unknown, but reunions with something we once were? For decades, people around the world have reported similar experiences. Sudden lights, paralysis, the sensation of being observed, and symbols that seem eerily familiar. These experiences are often dismissed, ridiculed, or explained away as dreams. But dreams are not meaningless. They are the subconscious trying to process what the conscious mind cannot hold. Many who claim to have encountered these beings describe a strange feeling, not of terror, but of recognition. A sense that the presence is not entirely foreign, that it is something old, something once known. That is not the response of someone facing the unknown. That is the response of someone waking up to memory. Perhaps that is the true nature of contact. Not discovery, but remembrance. What we interpret as extraterrestrial may be neither alien nor distant. It may be ancestral. These entities may not be visitors at all. They may be fragments of us, advanced echoes of a lineage we no longer remember, or guardians of a truth we once buried. In some theories, they are not here to conquer. They are here to observe, to test, to see if we are ready to rejoin what we left behind. It would explain the strange consistency in these experiences, the recurring focus on genetics, reproduction, consciousness, and emotion, the fascination not with our technology, but with our minds. If these beings were simply otherworldly explorers, would they not be more interested in our machines, our systems, our weapons? Instead, they probe the soul. They watch us when we feel lost. They appear when something deep is stirred. And most often, they come when someone is alone, not physically, but spiritually. When the person is asking bigger questions, when the walls of ordinary reality are beginning to crack. That timing is not random, it is ritual. What if these moments of contact are not interruptions, but invitations? What if they are not about us learning about them, but them checking to see if we have remembered ourselves? Not an arrival, a return. This changes how we look at the entire phenomenon. Contact becomes less about technology and more about memory, less about receiving messages from another world, and more about deciphering the signals left behind in this one. It also reframes ancient stories. Gods descending from the sky, beings of light, teachers who came from the stars and departed with a promise to return. These myths are not local, they are global. They exist in every corner of the earth. Were they truly gods, or were they advanced beings, ancestors, returning to check on what had survived? The key is this: we expect contact to come from outside. But what if it begins inside? A moment of déjà vu, a dream that feels older than you are, a place you visit for the first time and feel like you never left. These are not glitches. These are fractures. Moments when the veil thins and something buried stirs. Something that does not belong to this life alone. When you think of contact now, do not picture a ship in the sky. Picture an ancient memory surfacing in the middle of your daily life. A moment where you realize the stars are not waiting to meet you. They are waiting to welcome you home, because maybe the ones we call they are not strangers. Maybe they are us, just further down the spiral. Maybe we are not being watched. Maybe we are being waited for. And maybe the call is not coming. Maybe the call is already happening. And it is up to us to remember how to answer. We do not remember our birth. We do not remember the first moment we saw light or the first time we took breath. And yet we trust that those moments happened. They live in us, whether we remember them or not. That same principle may extend beyond a single lifetime. What if we carry memories that do not belong to this body, or this age, or even this world? Across cultures, there is a persistent belief that the soul carries on, that death is not the end, but a reset. That memory, like energy, cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Some call it reincarnation, others call it ancestral memory. But whatever the name, the idea remains. Something survives, something returns, and in recent years, science has begun to echo what ancient mystics have always claimed. Children recalling lives they could not possibly know. People speaking languages they were never taught. Trauma that appears in generations that never lived through the event. Even DNA seems to record more than biology. It remembers fear. It remembers starvation. It remembers escape. What if it also remembers the stars? We often think of memory as something personal. But some memories are collective. They live in the species, in the culture, in the blood. And some memories are older still. Not because they were passed down, but because they were always there, buried beneath the noise of the present. Perhaps déjà vu is not just coincidence. Perhaps it is a signal. Perhaps it is the mind brushing against something the soul has already seen. That strange familiarity you feel in a place you have never been. The pull toward a symbol you cannot explain. The overwhelming emotion when you stare at the night sky and feel both homesick and whole. These are not accidents, they are remnants. They are what remains when a star forgets its name. This theory does not require science fiction. It only requires humility. The humility to accept that not everything we experience is generated in this life. That we are more than the sum of our neurons. That memory does not end at the skull. It ripples backward, through lineage, through consciousness, through time. If we were once something more, if our ancestors were not only earthbound, but cosmic, then traces of that journey must still live within us. Not in textbooks, not in satellites, but in instinct, in intuition, in the quiet knowing that some truths do not need to be learned because they were never forgotten. It is possible that the contact we seek is not an event, but a state, a frequency, a resonance, like a tuning fork aligning with its twin. Perhaps certain people, certain places, or certain moments cause that alignment to occur, and in that alignment, memory returns. The veil lifts, and for a brief instant, we remember who we were before we fell asleep. Because maybe we are not waiting to evolve into something greater. Maybe we are trying to remember something we already were. This would also explain the strange emotional responses people have to stories of the stars, the unexplainable connection to space, to time travel, to ancient civilizations, to forgotten gods. These stories stir something because they are not fantasies. They are echoes. The myths we tell may not be fiction at all. They may be fragmented autobiography. The soul remembers what the mind forgets. It has no need for language. It speaks in feelings, in visions, in dreams. That is why some of the deepest truths are found not in logic, but in symbols, not in formulas, but in stories. The rational mind seeks data. The soul seeks recognition. And so, when we ask where they are, the ancient ones, the starfarers, the advanced civilizations, we must consider this possibility. They are not in the sky. They are in us. Not all of us, perhaps, but in some. In those who feel the call. In those who look at the stars and remember, without knowing why. The cosmos may not be empty. It may be full of memory. And the silence we hear is not the absence of others. It is the echo of a name we have forgotten how to say. Let us now try to remember it. We began with silence, the cosmic quiet that has haunted philosophers, scientists, and dreamers alike. We asked why, in a universe so vast and fertile, we have heard nothing but our own questions. But perhaps we were never meant to wait for an answer. Perhaps the silence is not an absence, but a mirror, not a void, but an invitation. What if we were the ones who left? What if we once walked among stars, not as visitors, but as natives? What if the hands that carved stone into sky maps were not trying to imagine the heavens, but to recreate what they already knew. What if the yearning that grips us at the edge of consciousness, that strange nostalgia for something beyond this earth, is not imagination, but inheritance? We do not remember being born, and yet we know we were. The soul remembers in ways the mind cannot explain. Memory is not always narrative. Sometimes it is a feeling, a pull, a wordless gravity drawing us toward a truth we do not yet have the language to speak. And maybe that is why we tell stories. Maybe storytelling was not invented to entertain or instruct. Maybe it was created to remember, to carry fragments of a past too vast, too painful, or too sacred to hold in the open. Story is not just history. It is encrypted memory, a song hummed by civilizations that refuse to vanish completely. We are not just looking for aliens. We are looking for ancestors, for echoes, for pieces of ourselves scattered across time and space. The Fermi Paradox, then, is not a scientific puzzle. It is a psychological mirror. It reflects not what we cannot find, but what we have chosen to forget. Maybe the reason they do not answer is not because they are gone. Maybe they are waiting for us to recognize ourselves in their silence. You, the one listening to this, you have felt it, have you not? That sudden ache in the middle of the night. That wordless grief when you stare at the stars. That strange pull towards symbols and stories that no textbook could have taught you. That feeling is not fiction. It is the first step of remembering. Because remembering does not come like a flash of light. It comes like a whisper, a ripple. It comes slowly, like the dawn. Not all at once, but enough to reveal the outline of something immense. Something that was always there. Perhaps we are not the first. Perhaps we are not the lost children of the cosmos. Perhaps we are its oldest. It's scarred, it's scattered. And perhaps our role is not to be discovered, but to awaken, not to meet them, but to become who we once were. The map is not out there. It is within. So if you are still waiting for contact, remember this. It is not always about looking up. Sometimes it is about looking in. Sometimes it is about hearing the stars within your own breath. Because maybe, just maybe, we are not the ones being left behind. We are the ones who left. And now we are starting to find our way back home.